Yes, ma'am. My name is Ron J.J. Graham, Graham. J.J.'s my nickname, but it's Ronald Graham.
And then what is your official title here?
Well, I recently retired from here, but I am the president of the Heritage Chapter of the Freedom Through Vigilance Association, one of the vigilant partners in the Vietnam Commemoration Program. Today we are honoring Vietnam veterans, surviving spouses, and family members of deceased Vietnam veterans. This is the last year of the Vietnam Commemoration Program. It was a 10-year program authorized by Congress. So today we are recognizing these veterans and family members for their actions during the war and giving them a long-delayed thank you for your service and welcome home. Each category, the Vietnam veterans, the Vietnam veteran spouses, and the family members, we have commemorative pins that we award to each of them with a certificate for service and sacrifice during the war. These indicative again of the nation saying a belated thank you for your service.
People travel from all across, not only Texas, but across the nation. Why San Angelo? Why San Angelo for this ceremony?
Well, sir, people come to San Angelo from all over. This is our 4th year doing them on base. We've had people from Japan come in. We've had Hawaii, Massachusetts. We do it here at Goodfellow because at Goodfellow, our partnership with the base is amazing. They enable us and allow us to do that here. We have one of the few EC-47s on display in the country. And we have a commemorative paver program which nobody else has. We have a reach out, mail out program that's run by one of our partners. So we have tentacles all over, and we invite everybody to Goodfellow. We key on the intelligence mission here, and many of the people that flew in that aircraft were trained here at Goodfellow. This is significant for the veterans, the surviving spouses, and family members, because at the end of the Vietnam War, most of the Vietnam veterans coming home were not thanked for their service. They were treated rather poorly. This is an example of, you can hate the war, but don't hate the veteran. The veterans weren't treated very well when they came back. So Congress 10 years ago decided to do a belated thank you, welcome home. So it means a lot to these folks. When we did the first one in 2015, I was pitting people that I worked with when I was a young man in the military. These were the old guys. When they started shedding tears during these ceremonies, I realized just how personal it was to them and how emotionally significant it was. And that's continued through this day. It makes quite an impact on the Vietnam veterans themselves and the surviving family members.
Now that the ceremony series has officially ended, how will Vietnam veterans be respected in the future? Is there anything going to happen in its place?
We will continue to recognize veterans, but now it will encompass all veterans. We will not specify the Vietnam veterans or whatever. They will still be recognized as we do our normal Veterans Day ceremonies here on the base in downtown. They'll be all inclusive.
So why is this the last year of this program specifically?
This is a 10-year program. It's the last year today. Tomorrow's the last day because that's the 50th anniversary of the end of the war in Vietnam. And that's what this program is all about, the 50th anniversary of the end of the war.
How did this program come into existence?
This, as Congressman Pfluger mentioned, there is some bipartisanism in Congress. Congress got together and decided we needed to provide a thank you and thank you for your service to the Vietnam veterans who were fairly mistreated when they came back. At that time in 2014, there were a lot of Vietnam veterans in Congress. So they came up with this 10-year program to recognize Vietnam veterans, surviving spouses, and family members. The Goodfellow Air Force Base 4th Annual Vietnam Veterans Commemoration Event at the Wyan Eddy Memorial Plaza. We would like to begin by recognizing our hosts and some special guests in attendance today. The command team of the 17th Training Wing, Commander Colonel Angelina McGinnis, United States Air Force. Yeah. Representing the Command Chief, Chief Master Sergeant Jason Ramon and his wife Maria. The Honorable August Pfluger, representative from District 11 in the great state of Texas. Lieutenant General Ronnie Hawkins, United States Air Force retired and current Angelo State University president. Have a special welcome to all Goodfellow Vietnam veterans and their families. Our guest speakers today will be our Wing Commander, Colonel Angelina McGinnis, Lieutenant Colonel Raymond Kuderka, the Commander of 344th Military Intelligence Battalion here at Goodfellow Air Force Base, Chief Master Sergeant Tom Neary, United States Air Force retired, Staff Sergeant Joe Martin, United States Air Force retired, and Congressman Pfluger. A very special welcome to all Goodfellow commanders, honorary commanders, chiefs, first sergeants, distinguished visitors from the San Angelo community, EC-47 veterans and their families and friends, and our Team Goodfellow members in attendance today. We thank you all for being here with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, today you will witness a number of special events. A presentation honoring a U.S. Army direction-finding mission lost over Vietnam in 1969. Presentation honoring the Vietnamese Air Force personnel who, beginning in 1973, performed the airborne radio direction-finding missions in the EC-47, like to my right, once the U.S. troops left Vietnam. And lastly, recognition and ceremonial pinnings of Vietnam veterans, their surviving spouses, and family members. At this time, we'd like to welcome our first speaker of the day, Colonel Angelina McGinnis, the commander of 17th Training Wing. Ma'am, would you please come forward?
Thank you, Chief Graham. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here today. Your presence is a powerful testament to the enduring legacy of the Vietnam War and the brave men and women who served. Welcome to Congressman Pfluger, Lieutenant General Hawkins, and most importantly to the many Vietnam veterans, surviving spouses, family members, and friends. To all those who have traveled here to be here, we appreciate your commitment to honoring your fellow veterans. It is truly humbling to see so many people out here this morning. We're deeply grateful for your dedication, and we welcome you all. And most importantly, welcome to the many Vietnam veterans in attendance today. I am honored to be with you this morning and have the opportunity to offer my gratitude for your service to our great nation. I am speaking to you today not just as the wing commander of Goodfellow Air Force Base, but primarily as an American, deeply indebted to the Vietnam generation. Your service took place during a turbulent time in our nation's history, yet you answered the call with courage and resilience. You faced challenges, both on and off the battlefield, and your sacrifices paved the way for the freedoms we enjoy today. You are the embodiment of service before self, and your stories of valor, camaraderie, and dedication continue to resonate within the halls of the 17th Training Wing and across the Department of Defense. Today, as we prepare future generations of airmen, we look to you, the veterans of the Vietnam War, for inspiration. At the 17th Training Wing, we hold fast to the lessons forged in the crucible of your experience. Your legacy of honor, valor, and commitment to duty fuels our mission to build mission-ready airmen prepared to face any challenge, anywhere. Every day we strive to instill in our students the same values of integrity, excellence, and selfless service that you exemplified. We teach them that the strength of our Air Force lies not just in our technology, but in the heart of every airman. Before I conclude my time, I would like to thank our event organizers, specifically Chief J.J. Graham and Chief Tom Urey. Thank you for your time and effort that you put into providing us an opportunity to gather and honor the legacy of our nation's heroes. We are forever indebted to you, the Vietnam veterans, and it is our solemn duty to ensure that your service and sacrifice are never forgotten. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel McGinnis. Appreciate that. We will now begin our special presentations. Our program tells the story of a routine U.S. Army radio intercept mission flying over Tay Ninh province in Vietnam on 12 February 1969. The crew, consisting of the pilot and 146th Commander Major Kieran Herlick, co-pilot Chief Warrant Officer 2nd Laird Osborne, Morse Operator Specialist 5 John Fisher, and Vietnamese Linguist Specialist 5 Robert Pryor, survived the shoot-down. The plane landed in a dry rice paddy about a half a mile inside the Cambodian territory. As the enemy surrounded them, Fisher and Pryor worked to destroy sensitive materials on the aircraft, while Herrick and Osborne returned fire. They were vastly outnumbered and outgunned, and the four men were quickly captured. We will continue the story momentarily. Now, I would like to introduce Lieutenant Colonel Raymond Kadurka, Commander of 344th Military Intelligence Battalion, to come up and share some words with us. If you would, sir.
Thanks, JJ. I thought you were going to steal all my fire. Hey, Tom, JJ, aside from dialing this up today, somehow you dialed up the weather as well. I maybe talked to the Air Force flow and got it all squared away. Distinguished visitors, guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is truly an honor to stand before you this morning, and I'm immensely proud to have this opportunity to participate in today's ceremony to both recognize and thank you all for your service to our great nation. Before I highlight the incredible story of the crew of RU-1 Alpha Otter, tail number 53271, I'd like to recall a brief personal story that just occurred a few weeks ago. So I'm a father of 3 boys, 12, 11, and 8. I spent a week on TDY where I was away from them. First thing I did when I got home, I figured I'd regain some favor. So we went to the local Dairy Queen to get some ice cream. While I was sitting there, we looked across to another table, saw an older gentleman proudly wearing a similar hat to what I see in this audience today. Sitting across from him, most likely was his wife and then a friend, and they were just sharing cordial conversation. After we finished up, grabbed the 3 boys and we walked over. And my youngest, he's a bit of a talker. He's 8 years old. As soon as we got to the table to give our thanks, first thing came out of his word was, "Sir, where's your leg?" Right? So here I am with my 8-year-old, and he just called out the most awkward question that you could potentially ask. After making fun of my little guy for a little bit, his response really stuck with me. He said, "Son, I lost my leg in service to our nation, and if given an opportunity, I'd do it all over again." That simple statement, spoken with such sincerity and resolve, encapsulates the very essence of sacrifice, of duty, and unwavering love for one's country. It's a statement that should resonate with each and every one of us, reminding us of the debt we owe to those who served or supported a loved one who took part in the Vietnam War. This gentleman's story and countless others like it, which I'm sure is sitting right in front of me today, is just another powerful story that I get to share with you today. And that's the story of Otter, tail number 53271, shot down over Cambodia on February 12, 1969. At the helm was then Major Charon Harrod, a seasoned aviator from Green Bay, Wisconsin. His journey to that fateful day began in 1954 when he enlisted in the Army Reserve. Through dedication and hard work, he rose through the ranks, earning his commission through Army ROTC at St. Norbert College. And somehow, he was able to master 3 different military occupational specialties throughout his career. I have one, and I can barely handle that. First, he started as an artilleryman, then as a missile officer, and finally a pilot. With 2 tours in Vietnam already under his belt, he was a seasoned leader, and he knew the skies above Southeast Asia. By his side was Chief Warrant Officer Laird Osborne, a West Virginia native whose military service was deeply rooted in both the airborne and special operations traditions. Enlisted in 1954, he served in the prestigious All-American 82nd Airborne Division and had deployed to Japan. Osborne's path led him to become a skilled aviator, flying both fixed and rotary wing aircraft. The skies over Vietnam were also familiar to him, with this being his 2nd tour to Vietnam. In the rear of the aircraft, manning the vital radio equipment, was Specialist John Fisher, a young man from McCalla, Florida. Answering his nation's call in 1966, he trained as a Morse intercept operator, a role crucial to gathering intelligence and disrupting enemy communication. He brought his dedication and expertise to the skies above Vietnam, where every intercepted message could truly mean the difference between life and death. Rounding out the crew was Specialist Robert Pryor, a skilled linguist from Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Pryor enlisted in 1966, driven by a desire to serve his country and utilize his language abilities. He underwent rigorous training at the Defense Language Institute, mastering Vietnamese to bridge the communication gap in a complex and volatile region. His role in the Otter was critical, providing real-time translation and analysis of intercepted enemy communications. As a quick side note, Staff Sergeant Pryor also went on to serve as one of the first instructors of the Army Security Training School at Goodfellow Air Force Base, which is the precursor of the 344th Military Intelligence Battalion that I am honored to lead today. So we truly stand on the shoulders of giants. Now going back, imagine yourself in the cockpit that day. Their mission, a routine radio intercept mission along the Ho Chi Minh Trail, attempting to gather information on enemy movement and logistics. Major Herlick calmly navigating the skies over what they believed to be Tainan province. Beside him, Chief Warrant Officer Osborne diligently scanning the horizon. In the back, Specialist Fisher focused on his equipment, and Specialist Pryor ready to decipher and intercept communication. Suddenly, enemy aircraft ripped through the Otter's fuselage. Major Herlick, with remarkable skill, managed to bring the crippled aircraft down in a dry rice paddy. Unbeknownst to the crew, they were now stranded a half a mile inside Cambodia, a supposedly neutral country. As the enemy surrounded them, Fisher and Pryor worked to destroy sensitive material and equipment left on the plane, while Herlick and Osborne returned fire. Vastly outnumbered and outgunned, the four men successfully held off the enemy long enough for the plane's destruction before they were captured. Herlick, Fisher, and Pryor were kept together and marched to a jungle base camp several miles away, while Osborne, having been severely wounded during the assault, was left for dead. Herlick, Fisher, and Pryor endured countless days of interrogation from both the NBA and Viet Cong before being handed over to the Cambodian army. And despite being a neutral country, they were then driven to the capital, where they were subjected to additional interrogation. Meanwhile, Osborne, having been recovered from a third party at the crash site, was receiving treatment at the French hospital and clinging to life. Everybody refused to believe that his comrades were lost. He insisted to the doctors that he was traveling with 3 other Americans, and his act of defiance, unwavering loyalty, ultimately led to their reunion. The Cambodian government, denying the presence of North Vietnamese soldiers within their borders, claimed responsibility for downing the Otter. The incident strained an already fragile U.S.-Cambodia relationship. For 28 days, the crew endured captivity with a fate uncertain. Finally, thanks to the tireless efforts of the entire crew, their unwavering spirit, a negotiation was reached, and they were released to Australian custody and returned home on March 12th of 1969. The entire crew received our nation's 3rd highest decoration for valor, the Silver Star, for their actions. As I close, please allow me as a fellow citizen to express my heartfelt thanks to all of you sitting in front of me today. Your courage, resilience, and sacrifice will forever be etched in my mind. And every time one of my fellow Americans thanks me for my service, I will always think of you. America owes you a debt of gratitude that can never fully be repaid, but we will never forget, and we will always strive to follow your example. Thank you, and this will defend.
Hello. Thank you, Colonel Kaderka. Appreciate that. That was a wonderful story. Talk about resilience there, duty, honor. We have a special presentation here that Mr. Tom Neri, Chief Tom Neri, put together. These are the memorial pavers that are going to be set underneath the EC-47 to honor this crew. And we present this to you, sir, on behalf of the EC-47 Association, Vietnam Veterans of America here, and hope you display that proudly. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. It is now time to introduce our next speaker, who will make a special presentation in honor of the Vietnamese Air Force Army personnel who took over the EC-47's mission when American forces withdrew from Vietnam. Then Staff Sergeant Joe Martin served as an airborne morse intercept operator from March 1967 to December 1971. He served in Vietnam with the C-994 Security Squadron from 1970 through 1971. Joe helped train South Vietnamese Army Morse operators on airborne radio direction finding operations over the final 6 months of his tour, which he acknowledges as the most rewarding segment of his United States Air Force career. Post-war, Joe finished school in the GI Bill and worked in the aerospace business for most of the next 40-odd years. He has worked with Tom Norrie in the EC-47 history site for the past 10 years and has served as a newsletter editor for the American Aviation Historical Society since 2001. Ladies and gentlemen, the premier authority on the EC-47, Mr. Joe Martin.
You're going to hold the mic for me? Okay. Well, thank you all, first of all, for being here and sharing this day with us as we approach the 50th anniversary of the end of that most unfortunate conflict. Let me take just a few minutes to explain how I got where I was there. First of all, for those of you who don't know, the people in the back end, that is the Goodfellow type people, were an entirely separate organization from the guys like Jerry here driving the thing. So we had a unique situation there, and how I personally got involved was after I'd been there. Well, let me back up just 1 second. I think, and somebody here may know the real answer to this, but my guess is maybe 1 or 2% of the enlisted troops in the Air Force, then or now, actually get a job that means flying on an airplane. Well, about 1966 on through 69 or 74 thereabouts, some 3,000 of us got that opportunity, I'll call it. The good news was, among other things, it'd be about $100 flight pay, which was pretty good for an E4, which most of us were at that time. The bad news was we had to go to Vietnam to collect it. But go we did, and I wound up, to cut the story, I'll put the brief in briefing. As JJ mentioned, we were going to we did turn the airplanes over to the South Vietnamese, and we had to train their people how to run the equipment and so forth. So when I got wind of that, I hustled down to ops and volunteered, and I'd been there a while and then, so they accepted me. And the Vietnamese, a lot of people don't remember that for most Americans, we thought the war ended in '73 with the release of the prisoners of war. It did not. A good many Air Force people went up to Thailand and took up where they left off. The Vietnamese, of course, went on till the bitter end in '75. Those planes that would still fly, most of them went out to Thailand, carrying as many people as they could. But the last EC-47 crew to be lost in Vietnam was actually a Vietnamese crew, and we're commemorating those today. I had hoped my friend Pham Nguyen Dang could be here, was a navigator on the Vietnam EC-47, but unfortunately he couldn't, so I'm standing in for the Vietnamese. On 13 July 1974, one of their aircraft, whose call sign was Tin Long 13, so 13 was a bad number that day, was shot down by an SA-7 missile. One of the crew members, their navigator, became the only guy to successfully, although inadvertently, bail out of an EC-47. He lived to tell about it, although he was captured and was sent to North Vietnam along with American guys and everybody else who had been there. He lived to tell about it, the other crew did not, so we're going to have papers out there for those guys. And they were, in fact, our allies. That's why we were there, you know. I'll put it this way, just to close it out. I think all of us who were there, we did the best we could under the circumstances. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, Joe. We're going to make a presentation in honor of that crew. Step out a little bit. You've done this before. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. One more. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna see that this gets over to Little Saigon in LA, and they'll put it in an appropriate place over there. I don't know exactly where, but they'll figure it out. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. It is now time for our pinning ceremony and the dedication of bronze memorial pavers. These will leave a lasting legacy for those service members and their families, and they will be displayed here at the EC-47 display. I think it's important to note here that veterans, surviving spouses, family members have come from as far as Massachusetts, Indiana, California, etc. for today's ceremony. They're not just local people, they're coming from far away to honor their family members. One family, the Choates, has 18 family members here today. 18. I don't have that many friends, so that's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive. And why are they here? Why are all these people here? Is it just to get to see an airplane, get a pin, get a certificate, something like that? No, it's much more than that. It's a very personal thing. There's a sense of patriotism, a call of duty, and a desire to recognize and celebrate the contributions of Vietnam veterans and their families. As I said, this is personal. Okay? And it's just as important for all the active duty military and citizens here today to see just how, as Vietnam veterans, we continue to honor those who served, especially those who made the ultimate sacrifice in service to their country. We will never forget. Our next speaker will show you how we at Goodfellow Air Force Base honor those who served. Chief Master Sergeant retired Tom Nury is a Vietnam veteran and an airborne radio direction finding crew member with 141 combat missions over Vietnam. He's a proud recipient of the Distinguished Flying Cross, 4 Air Medals. He is currently manager of the EC-47 History website. Tom will now give a brief description of each honorary pin to be presented today, then call up recipients to be recognized. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce my personal hero, retired Chief Master Sergeant Tom Nury.
Thank you, JJ. A lot of people shudder when they see Tom Nury with a microphone, so I better stick to the script. My old boss is laughing already. Two years ago, Pentagon Vietnam War Commemoration Representative Colonel Retired Joe Ramos visited our aircraft in the Memorial Plaza, and he was amazed at how our commemoration partner program committee had successfully combined the commemoration pinnings with the pavers program. We explained that the paver plaza and the indoor bronze plaque that lists 1,125 names honoring first-term airmen also pay tribute to veterans of all services and all periods of service. Beginning with the dedication of the Wyatt Eddy Plaza in 2022, veterans and family members have traveled from 30 states to participate in our 50th commemoration of the Vietnam War ceremony. Also in 2022, American Legion Post 572 approved a project to provide an engraved paver in tribute to their post-deceased members. Family representatives are here to witness the dedication of pavers for deceased Legionnaires Staff Sergeant Frank A. Gully, an Army Field Artillery veteran of the Korean War. But all the Gullys, put your hands up. Where you at? There you are, all across the back. Look at that. Legionnaire Master Sergeant Chester L. Herbert Sr., who served as a security supervisor from 46 to 73. Where's that family at? Yes, okay. Private Reginald E. Ed LeClaire, who served in Army Combat Communications for 6 years during the Korean War. Where are those folks? Roger and Robert? Okay, great. And another special inscription in tribute to the service of United States Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Lucian A. Gunther III. Lucian received his flight training in his wings right here at Goodfellow. And then he went off to Korea and Vietnam as a Huey helicopter combat search and rescue command pilot. Will the families of these distinguished Legionnaires please stand and be recognized? Come on, all of you, just if you can, we want to see who you are. Now, all the attendees who arrived, and in your envelope you had a little plastic paper that we're going to dedicate in just a second. Would you all please stand? Any more of you got one of those in there? Okay, great. Please be seated. You may be seated. Thank you. We've come a long way with this project. By the end of today's ceremony, we will have inscribed the names of 820 veterans and family members, covering 83% of the nearly 1,000 papers we have out there. This is the last of our Vietnam War commemorations. And as we bring it to a close, I can't help but reflect back on where it all began. To the less than warm reception so many of us received upon returning home from Vietnam or other assignments. But then I look out on you, the audience, and to that Americanism culture that brings us together to share a moment of deep fellowship and remembrance. So let us dedicate those papers to all those who are honored here today, and also to that wonderfully indomitable spirit that binds and sustains us as we honor the sacrifices of all who serve. And that's our dedication. So the papers, we're going to go in and recognize the veterans that are here today, and we're going to do the presentation of the Vietnam Commemoration lapel pin. There's a significance to it. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it's got an eagle on it, and we know that that is a special representation of our service. The lapel pin is meant to be a lasting memento of the nation's thanks. And so when we call the veterans forward, that's what we're doing. Population sometimes thought of recognizing them for valor in war. This is being recognized for how they were mistreated after they came home. This is the do-over and the welcome home they should have got 50 years ago. And that's why we appreciate that there is such a gathering here today that still remembers and is part of the new nation that reaches out and says, welcome home.